Welcome to She Plays Weekly. I'm Preston Bradshaw. Let's get into what's happening in women's sports this week. The battle for the number one spot in the world tennis rankings got interesting this week when Aryna Sabalenka upset Ash Barty in the Madrid Open final. Sabalenka nearly dropped out of the tournament after a recent injury, but she hung in there and put up a dominant performance that kept Barty from winning her fourth title this year. Way to spread the love. As much as I like talking about Barty week after week, it's good to meet another player once in a while. Sam Kerr won the Golden Boot this week when Chelsea took home the Women's Super League title. She's now won 6 Golden Boots in 3 different leagues in only 5 years. She literally has 2 hat tricks worth of Golden Boots. Boot tricks? Boot hat tricks? Whatever it is, I want more of it. The Athletes Unlimited softball college draft was Monday, and UCLA pitcher Rachel Garcia went number 1 overall. Their second season will be broadcast on CBS Sports Network and Fox Sports. Yay for more coverage, but also give me a minute, Athletes Unlimited. We've got NWSL, WNBA, 2 football leagues, and your own lacrosse season to get through first. Let me catch my breath before we get into softball too. The Portland Thorns won the NWSL Challenge Cup on Saturday after a defensive battle that left them tied with Gotham FC at 1-1 after 90 minutes and sent the match to penalty kicks. Adie Franch earned Finals MVP for the Thorns when she pulled out an incredible penalty save to win them the game, which is even more impressive when you realize that that was her first save she had to make all game. She helped her team take home their trophy and gave all the non-Portland fans the opportunity to keep hating on the Thorns as usual as we head into the regular season. Nature is healing. The WNBA starts Friday with a slate of 4 games that are sure to be a wild time. With so many rookies and so few roster spots, crazy talented veterans, and big names returning from injury, we might be in for a season as chaotic as the draft. In other big WNBA news, the New York Liberty have a new mascot, and it's an elephant named Ellie. I love this, but Sesame Street would like a word. We've got a great show for you tonight. Mikyla Grant-Mentis of the Toronto Six is here. Plus, we'll highlight one of the best supporters groups in sports. But before we get to that, 15-year-old soccer phenom Olivia Moultrie is suing the NWSL for the right to play in the league before she turns 18, arguing that making her wait will do serious damage to her career. For more on that, let's take a deep dive. Olivia Moultrie made headlines last week when her family filed a lawsuit in a Portland district court challenging the NWSL's minimum age limit for its players. Moultrie is a wildly talented soccer player. At age 11, 11, she was offered a scholarship to play at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She later turned that offer down when she decided to turn pro at age 13 and signed a major endorsement deal with Nike. She has played for the U.S. on the U15, U16, and U17 teams, and currently trains with the NWSL's Portland Thorns. Though she's been practicing and scrimmaging with the Thorns, she's only been allowed to play games with the youth team. This is due to the NWSL's rule saying that players for the league have to be at least 18 years old. Moultrie has reportedly asked the league multiple times to give her a chance to try for a roster spot, but she's been denied every time. So now her family has taken the thing to court with a lawsuit against the NWSL claiming that the league's age limit violates antitrust laws and harms Moultrie's career, and that she should be allowed to play. Among other things, the suit asked for a preliminary injunction that, if granted, could let her join the league as early as this season. The NWSL has stood its ground so far, saying that the age limit does not violate antitrust laws because the NWSL is a single entity. I know, it's getting complicated here. For anyone else who's like me and has no clue what we're talking about with antitrust laws, I did the research for you. In really basic terms, antitrust laws are designed to protect consumers and keep companies from forming monopolies, or fixing prices. They cover a lot of ground, but the rule we're most concerned with comes from Section 1 of the Sherman Act. This rule says that businesses or entities can't conspire with each other to prevent competition in a market. The NWSL is claiming that because it is a single entity, that it should be exempt from these rules. But that argument gets complicated when we're talking about multiple teams with distinct ownership groups, different interests, and, this is important, different centers of decision-making. Antitrust laws say that in a competitive market, and we can argue that the NWSL is the competitive market because within the league, independently owned teams compete to get the best players. Those competitors have to be able to decide for themselves who to hire. So this raises questions about whether the league should be able to unilaterally say that every player must be at least 18, no matter how good she might be. Some experts are saying that Moultrie might have a real shot here. There's some precedent where other leagues were deemed to not be single entities in the past, including the NFL, and that could affect the outcome of this suit. Now, leagues are allowed to impose age limits. Lots of leagues have them for safety reasons. But that can only be done through a collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association, and the NWSL doesn't have a CBA. There is one in the works, though, and an NWSLPA spokesperson said last week that she was hopeful this suit might push the league to prioritize those negotiations in the coming months. In the meantime, though, Moultrie has some real ground to stand on here. She has gotten support from NWSL players including Becky Sauerbrunn and Lindsey Horan, who agree that if you're good enough, you're old enough. The NWSL is also alone in this. No other major soccer league has this type of age restriction. If Moultrie was a man, she could play in the MLS. If she was European, she could play in Europe. She could even play on the US national team, but she can't play in the league where its players develop. She's having to watch as players even younger than her get on the field in other leagues while she's stuck in soccer limbo. This suit could lead to some big changes in the NWSL, or to an even bigger fight. But whatever happens, Olivia Moultrie deserves better. That was your deep dive. We'll be right back with Mikyla Grant-Mentis. Our guest tonight is a forward for the NWHL's Toronto Six. She scored the most regular season goals in the league this season, and she just took home 4 end-of-season awards, including MVP. Mikyla, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so glad to have you here. So glad to meet you, especially this week. It's a big week for you.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So you just had an absolutely huge season with the NWHL, like I said, coming out of it with 4 awards. Can you just tell me a little bit about your experience this season and how you're feeling after getting this kind of recognition?
Yeah, it's been definitely a roller coaster of a year. As you can see, first went to Lake Placid, then we got shut down, then we had to go back to Boston. So it was kind of all over the place, but definitely an experience that I'll never forget. Like, just all the roller coaster we went through was just so amazing, so nerve-wracking. You don't know what's gonna happen, but like it was just so fun with the girls that were on the T6, and just the experience in general was amazing.
Yeah, I bet you got some real bonding out of that whole deal because
Oh yeah.
that was a lot to go through together. I heard a lot about the bubble and it seemed like a really tough environment, but at least you got the team in there. I'm sure you got closer going through that together.
Oh yeah. We had to sit on a bus for 2 hours when we got to Lake Placid. So it was
Why?
a lot of team bonding because we had to get tested, but like the testing weren't there, so we had to wait.
So they just left you on the bus?
Yep. They're like, oh, okay, like we'll be there in a few minutes. 2 hours later.
It's the royal treatment. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
exactly.
We're working on that. We're going to get that better in the future. Good grief. But yeah, so 4 awards, crazy. I don't even remember all of them off the top of my head, but newcomer of the year, MVP. You won one that was for working at something with your aunt? Is that
Yeah, it
correct?
was the foundation award.
Yes.
It was just like basically like community work and stuff. With my aunt, we just deliver food to old folks' homes around my town of Brampton, and we've been doing it since like the pandemic started. So it's like for me, it doesn't seem like, oh, I should get an award for it because I've been doing it for so long now. But
Yeah.
like I guess to other people, it's a big thing. So
Yeah. It's always nice to have somebody else recognize it, even if to you it's just every day. That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
And you're the first Black player to win MVP in NWHL history. Can you talk about what
Yes.
that's meant?
It's an honor, and I know only there's, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but like 6 Black players like that are in the league right now or have currently played in the league. So it's a huge honor to be one of the first, and I hope there's many more to come after me to win this award. But it's definitely huge to be the first one to win it.
Yeah. And it's a terribly white sport, but we're getting there. We're slowly
Yeah.
working on it. And I love that. And I mean, everyone was talking about you this season. This was your first full season in the league, right?
Yes,
You
that's
played a
correct.
little bit last season with the Buttes, right? Coming out of Merrimack.
Yeah, I played it. It was just 3 games. I was just there for playoffs basically, but yeah, I did get a couple of games under my belt.
What was that like just hopping into a team like in playoffs?
It was kind of crazy to be honest. Like my season at Merrimack ended Saturday night and it was like Sunday. People were calling me to come play and I'm like, I didn't even have time to process that my season just ended and now it's like picking up again. So it was a crazy experience, but I'm glad I got to do it with my best friend and my roommates. So it was definitely fun.
That's awesome. Were you one of those that had like the college helmet still, like going in the pro game? I always see a few of those, or like goalie pads that still are the ones they wore in college because it was such a quick
Yeah.
turnover.
No, I actually was able to get like because they're all black and I had blue stuff from Merrimack. So I only wore my gloves because there's no way you can break in gloves in one day to like go play. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can't do that. If you want me to score, I'm gonna need to use my own gloves.
Yeah, it's like playing in oven mitts. If you
Exactly.
they don't want that. I think they want you. They're more interested in points than
Exactly.
passion. So you're getting noticed, and you're still a really young new player. What are your hopes for your future in hockey? Where do you see yourself going from here?
I'm really just trying to make a Team Canada camp. I feel like that's every girl's dream to play for Team Canada one day. And that's still my dream, and I'm hoping to make it there someday. But for now, it's just with the Toronto Six and hoping we can grow the game here, especially in Canada, since we're the only team right now in Canada, and just growing the game really until I'm able to get to that Team Canada spot.
Yeah. And is there anything outside of hockey that you're doing right now or that you'd like to be doing in the future?
I really have to go back to school, to be honest, to
Yeah.
get my master's in psychology, but
Oh, wow.
taking a whole year off, it's going to be very difficult to go back for that. So
I
I'm
feel
in the
that. I feel
process of
like
that.
if you're gonna do it, it's like you gotta get the momentum going.
Seriously, I'm probably taking this whole year off and then hopefully getting back the following year, but like, whew, it's going to be a lot of work.
Ideally, when there's real in-person school again, I'm sure that would be a helpful thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because I can't do the computer stuff on. No, it's not for me.
Dude, I graduated at the exact right time to avoid all of that. And I was like, okay, I feel
Right?
terrible for all my friends that are still in school, but I'm really glad I'm not there.
Exactly, me too.
So the Six got a little bit of a reputation in the bubble for being the danciest team, just
Yeah.
like constant dance parties on and off the ice. And I just want to know, like, where do you fall on that spectrum? Like, how do you rank your dance abilities here?
My dance abilities is probably like a negative 10 out of 10, but I try my best to be a part of it. I
Participation.
just, exactly. I get into it as much as possible. And, like when we won our first game, it was like mandatory. There's like no sitting down after that. Like we were all so hyper that, like everyone had to be a part of it. And then, we made like rituals from that first game that like then I had to continue for every other time we won. So it was definitely fun after games to win and have those dance parties.
And you get points for enthusiasm, 100%.
Yeah,
It's not about talent here. This is the more you can put your heart into it. That's all we care.
exactly. Yep.
Okay. And I have to ask because I am going to be a dork right now. I have seen you say in interviews that you are a High School Musical fan, and I have a problem with how much I love High School Musical.
Oh man, it is like if I see it on TV, I'm watching it. I don't care what I'm doing, done watching it. If I see it like flash by on Netflix, watching it. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter if you just saw it. Okay, so important. I'm asking the big questions here. Which is your favorite, one, two, or three?
I don't even know. Like number one
Choosing
definitely
your
always
favorite
has to
child.
be your favorite, but like two and three are also amazing too. So like, how can you just pick one? If
They
I
have
could,
their own
they could
merits.
yes, they all have a different like storyline. So it's like I feel like they're all different movies, but they're just from the same people. That's how I feel.
Two is my favorite because it's the danciest, and I'm a dancer, and I'm like, that's the
That
one where I can learn the choreography. So that's my favorite one.
yeah, I'm not a dancer, so that wasn't for me.
Next season, Toronto Six, you need to get some High School Musical dances going. That's
Oh, definitely.
That's my challenge to you.
We're all in this together. I have that down pat, so I can put that in there.
Uh, all right, well, we'll be back a little bit later with more from Mikyla. We're going to play one of our favorite games to get to know her a little bit better, so stick around. So much happens in women's sports every week, but they don't have a billion big sports networks covering every little thing like the men do. We do our best here at She Plays Weekly, but we can't always get to it all. So let's run through as many sports stories as I can fit into a minute in a segment we call Catch You Up. All right, 1 minute on the clock. Let's go. The USC Trojans took down UCLA to win the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championship last weekend. And in another national championship, the Carolina Tar Heels beat the Michigan Wolverines in the Field Hockey National Championship on Sunday in a crazy game that went into overtime. The Tar Heels won 4-3 to take home the trophy. The PWHPA announced that their Dream Gap Tour games in St. Louis have been rescheduled for May 16th through 17th. The Alabama Fire, Philly Phantoms, Texas Elite Spartans, and Utah Falcons are all undefeated so far after the second week of play in the Women's National Football Conference. Washington Capitals forward Alex Ovechkin invested in the Washington Spirit this week. We love that. The Connecticut Whale was sold to a group led by Tobin Kelly, which makes it the third privately owned franchise in the league. We love that too. Angel McCaughtry tore her ACL again during a preseason game with the Aces. We do not love that. Arya Jutanagarn won the Honda LPGA Thailand on Sunday, where she shot 63 in the final round. It's the first LPGA win she's had in almost 3 years. The U.S. Women's National Team announced a summer series in Texas, June 10th through 16th, which will give Latco one more chance at the look at the players before the Olympic roster comes out. That was Cut You Up. We'll be right back with more from Mikyla Grant-Mentis. All right, we are back with Mikyla Grant-Mentis. Mikyla, we've gotten to know each other a little bit already tonight, but I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to know more about you. So we're going to play a game right now called Rapid Fire. We've got a leaderboard going for this game. It's all it is just a bunch of random questions, get to know you type questions, opinions, whatever we thought of. They're very silly. And we're just going to see how many you can answer in a minute. We've got a leaderboard, and it's currently a tie for first place. So the most we've got so far is 12. And that's Sam Fisher from Athletes Unlimited Softball. And she's tied with Regina Jackson from Women's National Football Conference. So no one's broken 12 yet.
Gotta get 13.
It could be you, lucky number 13. So I'm just saying, this could be the time. All right. Are you ready? We are going to do this. I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock and go. If you could play any other sport, what would it be?
Basketball.
Nice. What's your least favorite color?
Red.
Really? What's your favorite restaurant?
Swiss Chalet.
How long have you been playing hockey?
Since I was 4.
Oh, wow. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No. I don't
What's
know
your
what it is,
coffee order?
I don't drink coffee.
Offensive. Okay. How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale from 1 to Mariah Carey?
Like 7, definitely.
Okay. What's the best kind of soup?
Chicken noodle soup.
Which High School Musical character could you beat in a fight?
None. I don't want to fight them.
But you could. Do you play any instruments?
I used to play the flute.
Flute. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
Space.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
What's the most boring thing ever?
Reading.
That's time. Let me check our score here. I do believe you just got 13.
Oh, I love it.
I think we got a new number 1. This is great. I'm so excited. Thought we were going to never break 12. This is a big day. Oh, amazing. I feel like not that you would fight a High School Musical character, but there are many that you could,
Yes. From the characters, I probably would fight like Sharpay because she's so mean, but like I love her too. So it's a love-hate relationship.
We want to be nice. We're too nice for that.
Yeah.
I should have picked who do you love the most or something.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Thank you so much for being here, Mikyla. This was very fun. Thank you for letting me dork out about high school music. You can find Mikyla on social media. It's at Bucky_13 on Instagram or at Grant-Mentis on Twitter. And make sure to check her out next season in the NWHL too. All right, we've got one more thing for you before you go, so stick around. Women's sports have some of the most dedicated fans in the world. These folks put in the work for their favorite teams despite limited coverage and resources, and they look good doing it. Tonight, we'd like to highlight the Rose City Riveters, some of the loudest, rowdiest, most committed fans in women's soccer in a segment we call Fanaticism. Women's soccer in Portland is a big deal, and the Rose City Riveters are no joke. They set the standard for the support of women's soccer, and they know it. These fans come decked out for every home game, and their tifos are unmatched. I mean, those things are loud, proud, and unbelievably massive. I don't understand how these even happen. Do they make them in airplane hangars? The Portland Thorns just won the 2021 NWSL Challenge Cup, and they did it with their fans behind them. Coming in on top of the standings, the Thorns gave their fans a gift, pulling out the home field win for the championship. The Riveters didn't get to bring as many people as they usually would, but they still brought flair. COVID can't stop the most dedicated fan base in women's sports. And for the fans, it's all about the team. You don't even need to wear a red bandana and flex. If you're a Portland fan, you're a Riveter. The group started with a teenager. She thought that if Portland had a women's soccer team, they should have fans, and those fans should have a name. And also scarves. Those are important. The Riveters are now the most prominent fan group for women's soccer in the world. Before COVID restrictions, games averaged over 16,000 fans per game. The atmosphere is unlike any other, and you can feel it. The energy pulses through the entire stadium, and for the away team, it's scary, but they also love it. Tons of players who don't play for Portland say it's their favorite city to play in because of the energy that those fans bring. The best way to describe it is just plain fun. The Riveters sing, they dance, and they just go absolutely crazy. All game, every game. And if you don't know the words to the chants, don't worry. They have song sheets. They hand them out before the game, and there's a copy on their website if you miss it. They want to make as much noise as humanly possible. No matter who you are, you wish you had the Rose City Riveters behind you. They are in the business of lifting people up, and they know exactly how to do it. They even have a code of conduct, because there is absolutely no room for hate in this ball of awesomeness. On and off the field, the Riveters make it clear what they stand for. The Thorns winning, of course, always, but also important social issues. With the Riveters, everyone belongs, as long as they cheer for Portland. I hope that one day everyone gets to experience a game at Providence Park, because it truly rivals a World Cup game. When the Thorns win, the Riveters win. The Rose City Riveters have the most incredible way of showing their love for the Thorns, and the Thorns love to give it right back in the form of goals on goals on goals. So if you're anywhere near Portland, go to their website and join them for a game. I know you won't be sorry. That's our show, everybody. Thanks for watching She Plays Weekly. We'll see you next week.